Daniel's admission of many black eyes in the Tonka truck story suggests prior harm, potentially escalating to a fatal incident on May 1st or 2nd, 2025, necessitating a disposal. The sweater's disappearance could indicate a cover-up, possibly for transport to a remote site like the ocean. Internet friends, it makes sense. There's a few things to consider, and please understand before we go forward that we're hypothesizing. Mike DeMann is currently interested in a disposal site in Chase Bay, Nova Scotia. And from the best that I can get, he's going off of all of the leakage, referring to leakage, psychological leakage in statement analysis, that is. But he's basing it on what he interprets as leakage throughout several different statements by Janie, Daniel, and Malaya. Now, before we go forward, I had a hard time coming to that, but I'm not dismissing the fact that the disposal site could be in the ocean. It's only logical to think that way, considered how small Nova Scotia is, and it's surrounded by saltwater, whether it be the Bay of Fundy or the Northumberland Strait, and many, many other waterways and water bodies, nooks and crannies, crevices, guts, rivers. The one that stood out to me, and it drives me nuts. My mind doesn't want to accept the fact that it is leakage. It is, maybe. Or it's a sensitivity point. Mike DeMann was theorizing over there that Malaya's statement in front of the camera where she said, and it's on your screen, he used it as a thumbnail, appreciate the huge search effort going on. Now we'll take a look at the clip in just a moment. But yeah, she did stop. I'm not certain that there was an F in there. And how huge search is leakage, that she's thinking somewhere in water or the ocean simply out of that. The only reason I say that is that I've heard it multiple times, and we're going to go listen to it a couple times following this, is that it's Google. It's Google Translate, and it's let us down, especially when it comes to the accents in this particular region. Think of, i.e., Wade. Look at how bad it was, and they all speak the same. So we're going to go have a look. Does she say surf before search? Now that we've brought it up, it's fairly suggestive, but we're going to toy with it nonetheless. Now listen, it's only 35 kilometers away from his house. Did he use the ATV and access the coast, which is highly populated, highly monitored, cameras everywhere? That's a really long distance to be going. Beat sometime between midnight and 5 a.m. without being seen. You'd think the only ones on the roads are some truckers and cops, especially when you're tweaking. But maybe he does it all the time. Did he access it using the ATV or a car, a vehicle?
Staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up, and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, "Do you hear the kids?" And he says, "No." And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
Mike Demand talks a lot about this particular spot right here. I've tagged on my Google Earth project, which you can find the link in this particular description of this video. I'll zoom out. There seems to be about a 30-kilometer stretch as the crow flies that have several interesting areas that could be accessed remotely, ATV or a vehicle. I'm still open to either or. A vehicle would make more sense. I don't want to start saying that, actually. I better not say making more sense. Chance, is it Chase or Chance Bay? It's Chance Harbor. That's what it is. Excuse me. Chance Harbor. Now, I'll take you down. You would think that what we're looking at is between 12 and 5 a.m. So let's think that something happened, something escalated. He realized, well, he already made up his mind that he's not going down for whatever happened. Unalived two people, two young children. Does he make two packages or one big package? Two, probably. So he's got two packages to go and dispose of. But what is the easiest method? Usually if bodies are discovered in or disposed of in water, people usually make concrete, but that takes too long to set and dry. Or they use rope and blocks. Here, through Daniel's language, he's talked about before having two sweaters missing. Way back when he was trying to pin all of this on Malaya. and getting ahead of any sort of scene that is to be discovered. Now, that tells me that there's a small chance in his mind that this disposal site could be discovered. I could be wrong, but it makes me wonder. Mike demands of the other way of thinking, where he believes Daniel is so confident that he's gotten rid of the bodies, he can act and do and say as he wants, and he's never going to get caught in that sense. I'm not so sure. I'm open to either or. It's an interesting thing to mull over in your head. Now, it has all of the elements. Because of high and low tide, obviously you want to get out in a deeper part of the water where it's going to be accessible, easy enough for you, one, not to be seen. More importantly, or just as important, the remains not to be discovered. So you would think that you go down to a dock would be an easy place. Right at the end of this, there's access to deeper water. Water that, when the tide goes out, doesn't expose sand from the bottom of the floor of the ocean. Now, I don't know if I'm totally into that. I'm just thinking about the possibilities, because he's aiming for not being seen or be on camera during any of this process. So the more remote the location, the better in my mind. Just to go down to the bird's eye view, here's what it looks like at Chance Harbor. If I can get down there. Even in the harbor itself. But there's all kinds of cottages, all kinds of people up there on the hill. The dude in the trailer, cop parked on the side of the road. And I mean, for the most part, you think that this is going to be fairly well-traveled, a beach that's well-traveled. People go in there for a dip. Doesn't mean it's not the spot. This whole area, this part over here, take a look at how remote this could be. Melbury Beach Provincial Park. Well, it's a provincial park, so it's going to be well-traveled. The hell is that? Big parking lot. Perfect. I doubt that it would be in this area. Oh my God, she's wearing a bikini. Oh my God. There's a ton of people up there on this beach. But you never know. Never know. Didn't expect to see them there. Don't think she's wearing a top either. Anyway. Let me get spun around here. We can look back. See, I thought if he did take the ATV, this is worth bringing up. I drew a line there for simple reference. That's just as the crow flies. But if he was to take the ATV, you see a spot right here where there's a trail, this road right here, that goes under the Trans-Canada Highway, which would be really handy for somebody trying to avoid detection. It's really the only spot. Although there's all kinds of other places, but you can never quite trust the Trans-Canada where they got cameras now. So we'll hop down there and you can see it with your own eyes. See what I'm saying? And that's the Alma Westville Cowan Street 2-kilometer exit sign. We'll play Frogger. Uh-oh, someone's coming. They probably do that for the animals. It's an easy spot for the animals to get through. And Daniel. But you can... There's not a whole lot of those around there, if any others that I know of or that I saw within the area. See, this line goes right back to Jack and Lily's house. So, let me tilt up. Oh, tilt this way a little bit. You can see... And there's Jack and Lily's house right there. So if you want to go out a little bit more, a couple spots that stood out to me were Waterside Beach, Little Caribou River. Just for their remoteness. So, I don't believe he had enough time to do anything with concrete, no dismembering. I think they're small enough to be able to work with in wrapping them up with their sweaters, which would be just fine in an ocean environment, and secured with rope. That rope, just like we saw that 1/4-inch poly or 1/4-inch nylon. No, it wasn't nylon rope. Might have been braided. That he has you know on a swing set. Now the Caribou has access to a deep water port. There's a big ferry in the dock right now. Did he have the balls to go this close? So ideally, you want to get, like, let's take a look at what the tides look like. You can see that there's high and low tide. This is probably somewhere in the middle. You know, you go a long way to get those 20 feet. It's not like you're going to walk into a group of people and do this. But it's the middle of the night. It's got to be a place that he's probably familiar with. Or did he go this side? This place right down here on this road. Oh, we're right in the middle of a cemetery. What do you know? I was trying to go for this. There's plenty of stone right there. All that that's a break wall. How misty it is there. This is Big Island Road. You know, I believe either or would be a good potential site See, my only other thing, I don't know what a tweaker would be thinking in that moment, though. Because it's one thing to have access to a boat, right? If you had access to a boat, you could get out into the deep water and get some stuff on your boat without seeming too suspicious. That's usually more common with a scenario of getting rid of a body in the ocean. Or, you are in a deep water port and you have blocks and you just toss them. It's not, in my mind, as easy because you run the risk of something coming loose with the constant motion of the water, remains washing up. Like with the ocean, you run the risk of it picking it up and throwing it back up onto the sand on the beach with a storm type of thing. So in my mind, from this perspective, I'm not poo-pooing the Chance Harbor theory, but it doesn't make sense to me for a killer to come to what would otherwise be a populated beach that people have, especially nowadays, have cameras all over the place. You're risking being seen. It has to be a place, I would think, that is more remote. Now, Chance Harbor is remote. But how do you access it once you get there? Getting there? Okay, got it. Now where? Is he as brazen to do just go in right down to the end of this dock and just off and throw up 2 packages off into the water? But if he did it there, he could just as... Where's another spot? Right here. Caribou. Why not come here then? Do it right off the end of this harbor. I don't know if that's Jesse's Cove. I don't know if that makes much more sense. So it would seem to me that even if you're making a crossing out here, take a look at this. Let's drop down. That you choose a spot like this. You just pull off to the side of the road, get your bearings, turn your lights off. This is Harvey Ave, Pictou Causeway. This to me is more remote, in the sense that he can stop few motions out and dispose of 2 packages. He's probably spent a lot of time wandering around accessible areas to him, taking a look at just how deep the water is. Right? So he'll have spots that he knows that would be a perfect place to toss a weighted down object. You know what I'm talking about. Ocean disposal is a known method in a no-body homicide case due to the difficulty of recovering remains. Comparing the Sullivan case to such cases highlights possibilities and challenges. Some of the other cases: Natalie Rupnow case, 1996 in Canada. Natalie is a 15-year-old girl who disappeared from Vancouver, and her stepfather, Donald Sherman, was convicted of her unaliving in 1996 despite no body being found. Evidence suggested he dumped her body in the Pacific Ocean from a boat based on his access to a vessel and suspicious behavior, example, cleaning his boat excessively. Like Daniel, Sherman was a stepfather with a history of control and abuse. The Sullivan case lacks evidence of Daniel accessing a boat, but the proximity to the Northumberland Strait makes a land-based disposal, example from a pier, feasible. Sherman's conviction relied on circumstantial evidence, example behavior witness statements. Similar to the Sullivan case's reliance on Daniel's statements and the blanket boot print. Sherman's vague explanations mirror Daniel's avoidance and deflections. The Sullivan case's lack of a boat-related evidence weakens the ocean theory compared to Rupnow. There's also a case, the victim's name is Lisa Marie Young, 2002 in Canada. Lisa was 21, disappeared from Nanaimo, BC, and is believed to have been disposed of in the ocean, possibly via a boat, as no body was found. Suspects' contradictory statements and a history of rug-related activity fueled speculation, but no convictions were made. The Sullivan case shares the coastal proximity and rug-related suspicions, Daniel's alleged mathematical use. However, Young's case involved a party and multiple suspects, unlike the Sullivan case's focus on Daniel and Malaya. The lack of confirmed boat access or coastal searches in the Sullivan case limits parallels. Suspects in the Young's case avoided key questions, similar to Daniel's refusal to elaborate on CPS or the sweaters. Malaya's silence mirrors the reticence of some associates in Young's case. There's also the Susan Powell case in the United States. She disappeared from Utah, and her husband, Joshua Powell, was suspected of disposing of her body in a remote location, possibly a body of water or a mine shaft. Nobody was found. And Joshua's contradictory statements, example, claiming a midnight camping trip, were key evidence. The Sullivan case's focus on mine shafts and Daniel's inoperable car parallels the Powell case's remote disposal theories. The ocean is less likely in Powell's case due to Utah's geography, but the Sullivan case's coastal access makes it plausible, though unproven. Josh's overlaid detailed alibis resembled Daniel's Tonka truck explanation, both seen as attempts to cover guilt. Mike demands analysis of Daniel's leakage aligns with Joshua's slips around Susan's whereabouts.